Good day, ABM Business Math learners. I am Ma'am and again, welcome to my class. In this video, we are going to discuss the direct, inverse, and partitive proportions. The most essential learning competencies that you students must acquire is to identify the different kinds of proportion and write examples of real-life situations for each. Number 2, solve problems involving direct, inverse, and partitive proportion. Before we proceed to proportion, let us define first what ratio is. Ratio is a comparison between two numbers, though they can also be used to compare multiple quantities. Ratios are usually shown as two numbers separated with a colon. For example, 1 is to 4, 5 is to 8, or 3 is to 2 is to 1. The terms of the ratio are the numbers of measurements being compared. Let us consider this example. Suppose a family of 7 members whose gross monthly income is 20,000 pesos budgeted the following amounts for their major monthly expenditures: 12,000 for food, 2,000 for electricity, 2,200 for transportation, 1,600 for cell phone load, 2,200 for miscellaneous expense. When we are asked to give the ratio of the food bill to the gross monthly income of the family, the answer is 12,000 is to 20,000 pesos. Expressing it in simplified form, we get 3 is to 5, where 3 represents the food bill and the 5 represents the gross monthly income of the family. Next question is, if we ask what is the ratio of electricity bill to the gross monthly income of the family, it would be 2,000 is to 20,000 pesos. To simplify, it will be 1 is to 10. Another, what is the ratio of cell phone load to the food bill? The answer would be 1,600 is to 12,000 pesos. And to simplify this will be 2 is to 15. Another example that we have here is to express the following in terms of ratio. A certain store serves 3 flavors of ice cream: 4 parts strawberry, 6 parts mango, and 11 parts chocolate. To express that, the ratio of ice cream flavors is 4 is to 6 is to 11. Let's take note that we cannot interchange the sequence of the variables being asked. Another, a small merchandise has 12 female and 20 male employees. What is the ratio of female employees to male employees? The answer is 3 is to 5. Since we have 12 is to 20, to simplify, that would be 3 is to 5. Now let's proceed to proportion. Proportion states the equality of the two fractions or the ratios. A proportion can be represented in fractional form or two ratios. The letter A is by using two ratios, and letter B is showing or representing by a fractional form. Each of the four numbers in a proportion is called a term. From A over B is equal to C over D. A is the first term, B is the second term, C is the third term, and D is the fourth term. The equal sign symbol is used to equate the two ratios or the two fractions. The first and last term are called extremes, and the second and the third term are the means. For example, in letter A, 3 and 20 are the extremes, and 4 and 15 are the means. In letter B, the extremes are the 4 and 12, and the means are the 6 and 8. Fundamental property of proportion. Our rule concerning proportion is that the product of the means is equal to the product of extremes. For example, we have here 3:4 is proportionate to 15:20, and for letter B, 4/6 is proportionate or equal to 8:12. How come? Let's see this. For letter A, let us multiply the means. The means is 4 times 15 is 60, and our extremes 3 times 20 is also 60. That's why these two ratios are proportion. Next, for letter B, the extremes, which are the 4 and 12, let us multiply. That will be equal to 48, and our means 6 and 8 to be multiplied. The product is also 48. That's why 4/6 is equal or proportionate to 8/12. In proportion, we can find an unknown term. For example, 6/n is equal to 4/8. So what we will do is to multiply it's either we are going to multiply first the means or the extreme. So in this case, we will multiply the means first. So 4n, so n and 4 multiplied, that will be 4n, and then 6 times 8 is 48. Now, enable for us to remove the n besides 4. Let us divide both sides by 4, and then let us cancel this. The remaining will be n, and 48 over n will be equal to 48/4, and then let us divide the 48 by 4 so that our n is 12. Example number 1. Do the ratios 8/10 and 18:22 form a proportion? Explain. So, to prove that these two ratios are proportion or not, we will do a cross multiplication, or multiplying the means and multiplying the extremes. Let us proceed. So we will multiply the 8 and 22, the first and the last term. The answer is 176. And if we multiply the 10 and 18, the second and the third term, the answer is 180. 176 and 180 is not equal. Therefore, 8/10 and 18/22 do not form a proportion. Example number 2. What value of n will make this a proportion? 6/15 is equal to n/25. So what we are going to do is to multiply the means and the extremes. So let us first multiply the means. So 15 times n is equal to 15n, and 6 times 25, these are the extremes. Now, to separate n from 15, we are going to divide 15 both sides. So 15n divided by 15, the answer would be n, and 150 divided by 15, the answer is 10. So when we are going to check this, 6/15 is equal to 10/25. Let's see. 6 times 25, the answer is 150, and 15 times 10 is also 150. Example number 3 for proportion. 8 tea bags are needed to make 15 liters of iced tea. How many tea bags are needed to make 15 liters of iced tea? So, let T represent the number of tea bags. So that will be 8:5 is equal to T is to 15, or 8 over 5 is equal to T over 15. Let's compute. So, 5 times T is 5T is equal to 15 times 8. Enable for us to remove the T beside 5, we will divide 5 both sides. So, 5T divided by 5, the remaining is T, and 120 divided by 5 is 24. Let's check. 8 over 5 is equal to 24 over 15. Let's see if these are already proportion. So 8 times 15 is 120, and 5 times 24 is 120. Thus, 24 tea bags are needed to make 15 liters of iced tea. Since we already know the fundamental property of proportion and its uses, let us proceed to kinds of proportion. The first kind of proportion is direct proportion. The second one is the indirect or inverse proportion. And the third is partitive proportion. Let me present first the direct proportion. Direct proportion is a relationship between two variables when their ratio is equal to a constant value. Let's say y is directly proportional to x when the equation takes the form y is equal to k times x, where k is the constant term. It is said that the two quantities of a proportion is directly proportional when one quantity increases and the other quantity also increases, or vice versa. Sample situations that illustrate direct proportion. So we have here, for example, if a notebook costs 12 pesos, then 2 notebooks will cost 24 pesos and 3 notebooks will cost 36 pesos. So in this situation, we can see that the more quantity of notebooks that we are going to buy, the higher the value. Next, the number of hours you work and the amount of your paycheck. And then, your score in your examination to your grade. So the higher your score, the higher will be your grade. The formula for direct proportion is y is equal to k times x, or x sub 1 over y sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 over y sub 2. Sample equation for direct proportion. So we have here 15 computers for 45 students and 45 computers to 135 students. This can be written as 15 is to 45 is equal to 45 is to 135. So the number of computers is directly proportional to the number of students, since the number of computers increases as the number of students also increases. Another example, if 10 snake plants cost 5,000 pesos, then how much do 8 snake plants cost? So in here, the total amount of sales is directly proportional to the number of snake plants sold. So we see that the greater the number of snake plants, the higher the total cost. So let's take a look in this ratio. So that is 10 is to 5,000 is equal to 8 is to unknown. If 10 snake plants cost 5,000 pesos, it is expected that the cost of 8 snake plants will be lesser than 5,000. So in the problem, the number of snake plants and the total cost are directly proportional. Hence, the more snake plants you buy, the higher the cost will be. And the lesser snake plants you buy, the lower the cost. So for example, in here, the 10 snake plants cost 5,000 and the 8 snake plants will cost 4,000 pesos. If 10 laptops cost 200,000 pesos, then how much do 8 laptops cost? So let's look at the given. Okay, the first thing that we do is to write the mathematical statement using two equal ratios. And now we will do the cross multiplication to find the unknown. Okay, so let's do this. Then laptops times x is equal to 10x, and 200,000 pesos total cost times 8 laptops. Okay, so for us to solve for an x, because we have to solve for the unknown now, we will divide both sides by 10. And we will draw a conclusion. So since x is equal to 160,000 pesos, 160,000 pesos is the amount cost for 8 laptops. Or we can do this. Okay, so y is equal to k times x. So let the y be the total cost, which is 200,000 pesos, and k is constant, and x is the number of laptops, so that is 10. So we will find the constant here, which is k. So 200,000 is equal to k times 10. So we'll divide both sides by 10. So k is equal to 20,000. But then the question is, what if the x, or the number of laptops, decreases to 8? So we'll find the value of y. Okay, so y is equal to kx. Y is equal to, since the k here is 20,000 pesos, we will multiply that by 8. So 20,000 times 8 is equal to 160,000 pesos. So let's try. After drawing the conclusion, we are going to check our answer by substitution. Okay, so let's check. 10 times 160,000 is equal to 200,000 times 8. So both sides is equal to 1,600,000. So this is a proportion. It means that our answer is correct. Another example, 5 notebooks cost 60 pesos. At this rate, how much will 8 notebooks cost? So let's see the given. And now the next thing that we do is to write the mathematical statement of this. Okay, and now to solve this, we will use this formula. X sub 1 over y1 is equal to x sub 2 over y2. Now let us do the cross multiplication. 5 times n is equal to 5n, and 60 times 8 is equal to 480. And now we are going to solve for the unknown, so we are going to divide both sides by 5. So 5n divided by 5 is n, and 480 divided by 5 is equal to 96. So the conclusion for this is the cost of 8 notebooks is 96 pesos. Another solution to find the answer is using this formula. Y is equal to k times x. So let y be the cost, which is 60 pesos, and we are going to look for our constant, which is the k, and let x be the number of notebooks, which is 5. Now let us substitute. The y is 60 is equal to k times x, which is 5. Now let us going to divide both sides by 5. So 60 divided by 5 is 12 and K5 divided by 5 is K. So it means that the unit rate is 12 pesos. But then we have another we are looking for the unknown. What if the x or the number of notebooks increases to number 10? How much will be the cost of this? So that is y is equal to kx. Let us substitute. Y is equal to 12 times 8. So our y, or the cost of 8 notebooks, is 96 pesos. Now let us check if our answer is correct. Okay, so 5 times n, which is n is 96, is equal to 60 times 8. So both sides is equal to 480. So that means our answer is correct. From these two examples, we can observe that if one quantity increases, the other one also increases. And if the other quantity decreases, so the other also does. So that is direct proportion. Let us now proceed to inverse or indirect proportion. Inverse or indirect proportion is a relationship between two variables when their product is equal to a constant value. Say, y is inversely proportional to x when the equation takes the form y is equal to k over x. This means that the two values x and y are inversely or indirectly proportional to each other, such that if x increases, then y decreases, or if the x decreases, the y increases. Here are some situations that illustrate inverse or indirect proportion. The first one is, the more people who share a lot of prize money, the less each person receives. Another, the speed of a vehicle and the time of travel in a uniform distance. So that is, if you travel fast, the lesser time you will get in your destination. Next, if a family has less members, then there will be more savings. Formula for inverse or indirect proportion is y is equal to k over x, or x sub 1 over x sub 2 is equal to y sub 2 over y sub 1. We have here sample equation. 3 persons for 2 days is to 6 persons for 1 day. This can be written as 3 is to 2 is equal to 6 is to 1. We can see here that the 3 persons increases to 6 persons, but the number of days from 2 days decreases to 1. So as the first variable increases, the other variable decreases. That is why it illustrates indirect or inverse proportion. Sample word problem. In a top spray bottle factory, 2 employees can manufacture 20 bottles of spray in an hour. How long will it take 5 employees to manufacture 20 bottles? So, our mathematical statement will be employee is to employee is equal to hour is to hour. The substitute, that will be 2 employees is to 5 employees is equal to an hour is to 1 hour. So, if we are going to multiply the means and its extremes, we can arrive at this solution. So 5x is equal to 2. So enable for us to solve for the unknown, we will divide both sides by 5, and that will result to 0.40 hour or 24 minutes. So we can see here that if 2 employees can finish 20 bottles in an hour, then 5 employees will take less than an hour to manufacture 20 bottles. So like in here, in our example, 24 minutes only for 5 employees to manufacture 20 bottles. We see that the more workers on a job would reduce the time to complete the task. Our first example for inverse or indirect proportion: in an RTW factory, 5 employees can finish designing 20 blouses in 2 hours. How long will it take 10 people to design 20 blouses? So these are the given, and this is the mathematical statement. Now let us solve this by using this formula: x sub 1 over x sub 2 is equal to y sub 2 over y sub 1. Now let us cross multiply. 10 times x is equal to 10x, and then 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So enable for us to solve for the unknown, we are going to divide both sides by 10. So 10x divided by 10 is equal to 10 over 10, or x is equal to 1. Another way of solving this is by using this formula: y is equal to k over x. So let y be the number of hours, which is 2 hours, and k is constant, so that is the thing that we are going to find first. And then x is the number of people, that is 5 people. Now we are going to substitute. Our y is equal to 2, the k is the unknown, over 5, our x. So this will lead to us in multiplying both sides by 5. So 5 times 2 is equal to k over 5 times 5 over 1. That will lead us to k is equal to 10. So our constant is now solved, and in the value of 10. Then in the next situation, if the number of people were increased to 10, this will be like this. So y is equal to 10, because 10 is the k and our x is already 10. So y is equal to 1 hour. So we arrived in the same answer. Let's see if our answer is correct. Let's check. 10 times 1 is equal to 5 times 2. So both sides is equal to 10. That's why our answer is correct. To conclude, if 5 employees can finish designing 20 blouses in 2 hours, 10 employees could do this in just an hour. Another example that we have here is 15 workers can complete a road construction in 7 days. How many workers will be required to complete the road in 3 days? These are the given, and this is the mathematical statement for this. Now let us solve the problem by using this formula: x sub 1 over x sub 2 is equal to y sub 2 over y sub 1. Now let us substitute. 15 over n is equal to 3 over 7. Now let us cross multiply. N times 3 is equals to 3n, and 15 times 7 is equal to 105. Enable for us to solve for the unknown, we will divide both sides by 3, so that will result to n is equal to 105 over 3. And if we divide 105 to 3, that will result to 35. Another way of solving the problem is by using this formula: y is equal to k over x. Let y be the number of workers, that is 15 workers from the given, and the k is constant, that is always the unknown, and x is the number of days, which is 7 days. Now let us substitute. y is 15 is equal to k over x, which is 7. That will lead to multiply both sides by 7. That will be 15 times 7 is equal to k over 7 times 7. And then we are going to cancel that one, and that will lead to us to this answer. So k is now 105. Now in the second situation, if the number of days were decreased to 3, what will be our y? So that will be our, to substitute, y is equal to 105, our k is 105 over x, which is 3. Okay, so our y is 35 workers. Now to check our answer, let us see. 15 times 7 is equal to 35 times 3. Now let us get the product. So 15 times 7 is equal to 105, and 35 times 3 is 105. Therefore, it is proportion, and our answer is correct. To conclude, if 15 workers can complete a road construction in 7 days, we will need 35 workers to complete the road in 3 days. Last kind of proportion is a partitive proportion. Partitive proportion, or proportion by parts, describes a whole amount being divided or distributed into 2 or more unequal parts. Here are some situations that illustrate partitive proportion. First is dividing party expenses. Next, dividing profits among business partners. Dividing inheritance to children. And allotment of salary into different expenses. Sample equation for this is child A is to child B is to child C is equal to 2 is to 3 is to 3. Sample problem that we have here is Karen wants to donate her collection of figurines to her 4 friends in the ratio of 1 is to 3 is to 3 is to 5. She has a total of 96 figurines. If her best friend wants the most number of figurines, how many figurines will she get? This will lead to us by this ratio. Friend A is to friend B is to friend C is to friend D is equal to 1 is to 3 is to 3 is to 5. To illustrate such, we have here an example. Christina wants to donate her collection of figurines to her 4 friends in the ratio of 2 is to 3 is to 4 is to 5. She has a total of 98 figurines. If her best friend wants the greatest number of figurines, how many figurines will she get? We see that the whole collection of figurines being divided into parts, which will be represented by x and distributed to them with a specified ratio. So we arrive at this given. So let x be the constant number of figurines. So 2x for the first friend, 3x number of figurines for second friend, 4x for third friend, 5x for her fourth friend. So this one, her best friend, will get the most number of figurines. And the total number of figurines, which is 98. What we will do now is to write the mathematical statement. So 2x is plus 3x plus 4x plus 5x is equal to 98. Now we are going to add the 3 quantities in the ratio. So that will result to us by 14x, since 2x plus 3x plus 4x plus 5x is 14x is equal to 98. Now that will lead to us by x is equal to 98 over 14, and x now has a value of 7 figurines. The question here is how many figurines will her best friend get? So since her best friend has a partition of 5 among the 98 figurines, so the 5 will be multiplied by 7 to get the number of figurines for her best friend. So 5x is equal to 5 times 7 is equal to 35. So after that, the conclusion will be 35 figurines will go to her best friend. And now to check our answer, let us try this. So 2 times 7 plus 3 times 7 plus 4 times 7 plus 5 times 7 is equal to 98. Now let us compute for the product of each. So 2 times 7 is 14, 3 times 7 is 21, 4 times 7 is 28, 5 times 7 is 35. When we add this, we will get the sum of 98. So our answer is correct. For our further understanding, let us illustrate another example. Let us read. A rich father donates her estate to his 3 sons on a ratio of 2:3:4. If his estate is worth 24 million, how much will each receive? So here are the given. We will let x be the unit share. So therefore, 2x is the share for the first son, 3x is the share for the second son, and the 4x share of the third son. So the first thing that we will do is to write this into a mathematical statement, which will lead to us by writing this 2x plus 3x plus 4x is equal to 24 million. Now for the solution, we are going to add all the quantities in the ratio. So that will lead to us by adding the 2x plus 3x plus 4x, and the sum of it will be 9x is equal to 24 million. Now, enable for us to solve for the unknown, let us go into divide both sides by 9. So that will lead to us by x is equal to 24 million divided by 9. So the value of x now is 2,666,666 and 67 centavos for one share. Now to know the share of the 3 sons, we are going to compute their share one by one. So the first son has a share of 2 parts. So 2x is equal to 2 times 2,666,666 and 67 centavos. That will lead to 5,333,333 and 34 centavos. And also for the second son, he will get 8 million pesos, and the third son will get 10,666,666 pesos and 68 centavos. Now for us to know if our answer is correct, let's check our equation. To check, we are going to add all the shares of the 3 sons. So let us add 5,333,333 pesos and 34 centavos plus 8 million and plus 10,666,666 and 68 is equal to 24 million. So that means our answer is correct. Thank you so much. See you in our next video lesson.